The Last Jedi. But who is this Last Jedi? Is it Rey or Luke? Or maybe it's this black guy holding an ice cream maker from Cloud City. Yeah, I think it's him. That makes sense. Right, guys? That is right. I'm hopping on the bandwagon with this one and discussing The Last Jedi title. Star Wars The Last Jedi is set to release on December 15th, 2017, so right now we don't know much about it. However, this does not stop hardcore fans from speculating about every little detail we know, such as the title and what it means. Today, I'll discuss what we know so far and what my initial thoughts are. So far, we've got a short cinematic teaser that features the title, The Last Jedi, in a red-colored font. Now, many people have assumed that this red font means that we will get a darker Star Wars, since red is evil, I guess. Anyways, the only time we've actually had red font for a Star Wars title was when Darth Maul came back in the Clone Wars. This was obviously done for aesthetic, marketing reasons to hype the return of Maul, not because the episodes were necessarily any darker. I guess that means Darth Maul's coming back then. No, shut up. Dude, Maul... Oh, for God's sake, Darth Maul is not coming back in Star Wars The Last Jedi. And honestly, this red title doesn't tell us much for sure. Personally, I expect this movie to be slightly heavier than The Force Awakens anyways. Star Wars tends to follow a predictable pattern where the second movie in the trilogy is slightly darker and heavier than the first. I expect this movie will have a lot of dramatic character change and probably a dark twist or two. Thankfully, the main cast of The Force Awakens will reprise their roles in The Last Jedi. The late Carrie Fisher had already completed shooting for The Last Jedi, so her death will in no way affect the film. However, her future in Star Wars is not entirely clear. Lucasfilms released a statement saying that they would not digitally recreate Fisher in any of the subsequent films. Leia was reportedly set to have a major role in Episode 9, so I really don't know how they're going to handle her character in the future. The Last Jedi was directed by Rian Johnson, whose previous works include the likes of Looper and a few episodes of Breaking Bad. I honestly don't know a whole lot about Johnson, but I believe from what he's done that Star Wars is in pretty good hands, and I think he'll do a great job with it. And yes, the legend himself, John Williams, will be doing the score for the movie, just like he has for every other main film. Now, I've not looked into any of the spoiler plot leaks. I know there are some out there on the internet that you can find. I mean, they're not confirmed, so I really wouldn't go too far into those. And honestly, I don't want to spoil the movie for myself. I like going in knowing as little as I can, and I'll really try not to look at any of these in the future. Now, it is rumored that the first trailer will likely drop sometime in April, but who knows? Until then, my predictions are going to be short and simple. I expect to see Rey trained by Luke in similar ways that Luke was trained by Yoda in Empire Strikes Back. So, I really think Rey is going to be trained to become a Jedi by Luke. I think it's very obvious. I also think that Luke will probably die in this movie. I don't know if it's going to be a violent death or if he's going to peacefully transcend into the Force. That the second one is more viable in my opinion, but who knows. And in terms of the title, Last Jedi, I predict that The Last Jedi is talking about both Rey and Luke, because I believe that Luke is the last of the Jedi. Rey is not a Jedi. You know, when Force Awakens ended, she was not a Jedi. Luke was. So I believe the title is pretty obvious. I don't think there's a ton of ambiguity to it, even though I know there is. Honestly, I think that Luke is going to train Rey, and in some time in the film, he is going to die, most likely, and pass on that title of Last Jedi, and kind of entrust her to make sure the Order is successful and prosperous in the future, and to continue training Jedi to fight the First Order and to fight evil. I mean, Disney's here to give us something that is fairly easily digested. You know, I'd love to see something a little darker, and I think we will, but I think it's going to be the classic formula of Master to Padawan, like we've seen in so many of the movies. Now, I also expect to see a lot of the story focused on secondary plots, especially with characters like Kylo Ren. and his training with Snoke. Of course, Kylo has this very interesting perspective that we haven't really seen in a Star Wars movie, as he is a dark side user who is struggling with feeling the pull to the light side. So, is he going to come back to the light side? I really don't know, you know. I mean, it's entirely possible that he does come back and he becomes a Jedi, but I'm really not predicting that, and so far, there's really no evidence to lead to that conclusion, so I'll wait and talk more about that as the trailers come out. As for the other characters, I really don't know what to expect so far in terms of characters like Finn, Poe, and Leia, so we'll see. That pretty much sums it up for me now, and I know it's still months away, almost a year away, but I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, and I really can't wait for it to come out. So let me know what you think about The Last Jedi in the comments, and stay tuned for further updates. Until next time, signing off.